Welcome to Ladies Talk Show. This is your host, Leah Richheimer. We get so many questions about bystanders about divorce, and so we just figured we've got to handle this. We got to get these questions. So get your questions ready. Type them in. We've got already a couple that came in that we're going to deal with right away. It's not my favorite topic, but it needs to be addressed. Okay, go ahead. Gila? What you got for me?
Okay, so how can we help as a bystander without knowing the full story and not presuming it's another marriage that could have been saved?
It's a good question. So after the get is given, there's really not much you can do. Just try and be as supportive of a person as possible. But if you hear about somebody who's having issues, that is where you can provide help. It's really hard because you're asking me a very big, broad, generalized question, and I'm trying to answer it in a way. It's a very, very good question, but it's like there's so many factors. Like, is it somebody who comes to you for advice and now you can give advice, or is it somebody who like is awkward around you or get distant from you, and it's somebody way, way over there, and it's like you're coming out of left field, whose business it is of yours, and you don't really know what's going on. So there's a lot of factors to weigh in terms of whether you can make a difference or whether you can't make a difference. If you are trained in this area, you're a therapist in this area, you're a marriage secrets coach, certified coach in this area, or you're a social worker, if you're in the field, there's a lot you can do, and you already know a lot about what you can do. If you're not a trained professional, the only thing I think you can do, that is the least, is say, first of all, if they tell you I'm having difficulty in my marriage, if they don't say anything, it's really obnoxious to go, potentially, unless it's a close friend of yours and you can step over bounds and boundaries that you can step over. And, that's a little bit hard to judge sometimes, but it's better to say something and be helpful than to just let them suffer by themselves. We're obligated to help where we can. Sometimes it can do damage. So if someone comes to you and say, I'm really having struggle in my marriage, that's one thing. Let's say they don't say that, then you have to judge whether you can say something. And let's say you say, I can't sit idly by and watch her suffer. So then you can just say something like, I understand. I noticed that you seem to be having conflicts, or whatever woke you up to this fact, and say, is there anything I can do? And they might be insulted, they might be upset, it might ruin your relationship with them. So you have to tread very, very carefully. But most people who are in pain and suffering, when you reach out to them, they're like, I'm not alone. I'm not alone. So something very, very soft and gentle, like, is there anything I can do? Or do you want to talk about it? Or, I know a really good therapist in this area. And if it's too out of your budget, I'd be willing to help pay for the therapy. Have you talked to the rabbi? He's really good with this kind of thing, and whatever help you think you can offer. It really feels sometimes a lifeline to people, but in other cases, it can be intrusive. So you have to tread lightly. The other thing is that you don't know whether there's some kind of addiction or abuse or really bad thing going on. So you stepping in there saying, oh, let's try and patch it up, may not help, so you have to really use a lot of seichel. Now, let's take the example of they're coming to you and saying, what should I do? I'm having trouble in my marriage. Then there's a lot you can do. So you can get them a Torah book on Shalom Bayis. Oh, where's my books? You can get Marriage Secrets or 21 Days to an Awesome Marriage. You can get, there's many, many Torah books on marriage. Get them one of the books and give it to them. It's $29 for you, or whatever, but it could be the world. It could save them just having an understanding of what a wife is. Again, we're in a generation where it's basically most of our marriages are based on equality-based marriage, even though that's not the Jewish way, that's the Goyish Welt that infiltrates after 50 years of whatever, is of an equality-based marriage, which is a major fail. And we're trying to shift Klal Yisrael from from an equality-based marriage to a Torah-based marriage. So that's really the goal that we're trying to accomplish here, and you can do that by getting them the Masorah. So actually, I'm gonna at the tail end of this show, I'm going to put an explanation of all the step by step you can do this. There's 4 things you can do, and I'll cover those after. But in any case, there is a lot you can do if someone's coming to you. Excellent question. What else you got, Gila? Wow.
Yes, deep stuff here. Okay,
Yeah.
so Estee's asking, I know a lot of newly married couples who wouldn't necessarily want to divorce, but they're completely not enamored with each other. Why does this happen so often?
Right. So Rav Shmuel Kamenetsky, when I asked him, Shaila, about something, and he goes, well, we're in a shalom bias crisis. A shalom bias crisis. So everyone asks me, what's the main cause of a divorce? As if I know. I've asked many Rabbim, and one Rav says it's in-laws interference, which blew me away. Another one said certain amount of neshamas need to be born before Mashiach comes. So the best attack that the Yetzer Hara can stop the geula is by making couples separate so that they don't have more babies, and that number of babies in neshamas that need to be born before Mashiach is ruined. So there's a lot of reasons. I don't know why. A part of me feels like it's the Amazon culture, like, oh, you get it, and I'm returning this. So you get a husband, I'm returning this. I don't know. I don't mean to be mean, and maybe there's so many other causes. People say there's more addiction now. There's more mental illness. There's more issues like that, and I don't know. I'm not an expert to say that answer. I do know there's always something that you can do in the marriage or as a bystander in the marriage. There's many things you can do, going to therapy, reading books, shifting from an equality-based marriage to a Torah-based marriage, understanding the role of a wife, the role of a man, following our Masorah. I'm sure you know the Masorah for Kashrus. I'm sure you know the Masorah for Shabbos. Learn the Masorah for Shabbos, for Shalom Bayis. If you learn the Masorah for Shalom Bayis, maybe it could shift. There's usually something a person can do. And, sometimes people get so stuck in, he is that way. Look, some divorces have to happen. They have to happen. There's no, that's why, there is a ketubah, and that is why there is divorce. There is a get. There is the way out. And if that's the case, and there's abuse or there's addictions or there's things that can't get over, I beg of you to make those efforts to get out. But huge numbers of the divorces that are happening today could be avoided. Huge numbers. I don't know the statistics. I'm not a statistician or whatever. I don't know the numbers, but I just know I've heard stories. And when I've talked to them after the fact, like, some women, most women don't, or men don't admit to whatever. I've had many people who are on their second marriage who are learning marriage secrets and, learning about the Masorah for Shalom Bayis, whatever. They're like, oh my gosh, if I had known the Masorah for Shalom Bayis in my first marriage, I never would have gotten divorced. Right. So I know there's a gap of knowledge missing. If everyone in Klal Yisrael knew our Shalom Bayis Masorah, I would say, okay, this is a bashert. Maybe it's a gezerah against Klal Yisrael. Who knows what the reason is? But until every person knows the Masorah for Shalom Bayis, we have to think, if you didn't know kashrus, how would you know what milk to buy, what meat to buy, what separating dishes? You know it cold. So how can we expect a person to have a perfect marriage without knowing what Hashem says is the way to live a gorgeous, gorgeous life, to bring the most bracha into our home? So without it, that's like your first step. Like, learn that. If you know that and it's still not good, get out. But if you don't know the Masorah, what business do you have of throwing something in the garbage? So that's a little bit. I hope I'm not being too harsh. I'm trying to be heartfelt, but I feel very, very much the case that I've known so many women who wouldn't have got divorced if they'd known that, their expectations of, I'm just making one example, their expectations of their husband were crazy. Or maybe they, were trying to control their husband, because in the Geisha Welt, that's what we do. We want to be in control of everything. We want to control our children. Or if we're the CEO, we want to control our company. Control is like seen as like you're really all powerful if you have control. And the problem is, in a marriage, we know from our sources that if a woman tries to control a man, there's just, here's my boxing glove, it's like, like that. Okay. So the first step is to learn the Masorah. And then after that, then you can figure out where you're holding. Did that answer the question, guys?
I think so. It was very thorough.
Okay. No, okay, good.
Okay.
I hope I'm not being harsh. I'm just trying to say, right? Like how could you keep kashrus if you didn't know kashrus? How could you keep Shabbos if you didn't know the laws? How can you keep a marriage happy and stable? Forget about whether you're doing the right thing, because God said to. That's important. That's what we're here on the planet for, okay? But for your own happiness, for being closer than you ever thought possible, being happier than you ever thought possible. That's what's available to us with the Shalom Bayis Masorah. And so many people are getting divorced without knowing it. It's a chaval. I'm telling you, you lose sleep over it. Okay, go ahead. What's the next question?
Okay, Michal's asking, I know a couple that at first seemed like they were very happy and just got into nitpicking at each other all the time. And now they're considering divorce. Can I help this marriage from crumbling? She's my good friend.
It's a Gavalda question.
It doesn't seem like there's big red flags. It's more of just like they got into this bad habit.
Right. But it also, whenever there's a lot of bickering, there's something underneath it, needs that aren't being met that I don't know. Because is she still online? Could she ask? I would like to know what the bickering is about. Can you answer what the bickering is about? I mean, the truth is it may not matter, or it may, if people are just bickering about everything, that's an underlying issue. If it's bickering about, they're always bickering because he wants to send to this school and she's more from, or he's less from, or, if it's something like that, then there's mediation, maybe bringing in a third party, going to a therapist. There's a lot of different things you could do to solve a big underlying issue. If it's just overall bickering, they've just seems like horrible habits. You know what I'm saying? Like there's, Rebbetzin Kolodetsky said to me, I said, I want one thing I can tell. I teach a lot of people about Shalom Bayis. I want one thing from the Rebbetzin that I could give over. And the Rebbetzin Kolodetsky, who's Rav Chaim Kanievsky, Alav Shalom's daughter, she said to me, if you mevater, you will never lose. If you mevater. Like that's she said she heard that in the name of her father, who's heard it from, I think the Chazanish. I don't remember exactly, but anyway, so she said that even though it seems like you might be losing, you aren't, because you may not see it. Hashem will bring bracha into your home for sure. You just may not see it. Again, if you're walking along and you were supposed to twist your ankle on the curb and you don't twist it because Hashem brought bracha into your home and gave you rahmanas, you don't see it, but you benefited. So there are many brachas that come into our life that we don't know. We're supposed to be hit by a car and Hashem just veers them in the other direction. He's taking care of us. So the issue is that
Leah, she did write back. Do you want me to say?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
So it's about like cleanliness, finances, chinuch. It's the everyday things, and it's also the last part is character attacks.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So without having a huge, first of all, thank you for answering again. I appreciate it. But without knowing a little bit more details in terms of, or sitting down and having a schmooze with you, or you having an introspection of what is the source of it all? Is it always he's bringing up a thing and you're always fighting him on every little thing, or vice versa? He's fighting you on every little thing. Is it lack of trust in the relationship that you just don't trust he's going to, you think you know better? We all. By the way, P.S. We all think we know better, but it's like, I have a woman and she was at the table and her husband, a kid came down and they're having this big fight and the kid says, started making fun of the other kid, and the father sent the kid up to go to bed without supper, and the mother's response was, that's like the punishment doesn't fit the crime. Like what? That's irrational. Don't take your anger out of having a tough day on the kid. And she had this whole rationale in her head of how his behavior and his parenting was bad. So what did she do? She opened her mouth and she says, it's okay, right? It's okay. say you're sorry to your sister. So the kid turned, she's thinking, wow, I'm going to get to stay and eat dinner. And she says sorry to her sister. And that was the end of it. What she didn't realize, the mom, she didn't realize that she completely threw her husband under the bus. She completely defied his authority. She completely took away the koyach that a father has. I mean, God forbid, when the kids are teenagers now, they don't have a father, a strong father who knows men are a little bit more harsh. She doesn't realize that she kind of shot herself in the foot because her when the kids turn into teenagers, she's going to need to be able to count on a strong husband, authoritarian husband that really helps a woman through the teenage years. And she's just cut him out. She just said, nope, don't listen to your dad. He's too harsh, whatever. And she's soft pedaled, whatever. Is it true that her husband was probably wrong in over punishing for something so simple or whatever? Probably, she's right. But she won the battle, but she's lost the war. So the reason I'm bringing up this specific example is I'm saying that, women are very smart, very multi-talented, very multitaskers, whatever. And so it's true, if they ran the whole household, maybe it would run quote unquote better. But they never give their husband the control he needs and the power he needs in the household to bring strength to the household, which only a man can do when a wife gives him that control. And there's one thing a woman needs more than control, and that's connection. That's how we're wired. Now, everyone differs a little bit in either direction, but if a woman would let go of control more, not only would her husband be empowered and love her more and cherish her more, but she herself, her level of stress would go way down because she just like, that's what daddy said. I'm sorry. I know you feel that it was unfair, but that's what daddy said. And her backing him gives him the strength to be the strong man that she wants in her household. And it gives the kids somebody to look up to, and it gives them somebody in their teenage years to feel strong with. So the whole point is, this is not the answer to whether they divorce, whether they shouldn't divorce, whatever. It's an answer of the fact that introspect. I just use this one little simple example. There's a dozen things that current women in today's generation are doing that follows the society, the Western society, the Goyische Welt, that's following this whole stream of thought that we've been kind of brainwashed for 50, 60 years, right? What I'm saying is there is a different way, a Torah way. Where did our Masorah go? I don't know, but so many women today do not, they know Kashrus and Shabbos like the back of their hand. They don't know. If I were to ask you, tell me 3 things about our Masorah for Shalom Bayis. I mean, I've asked this to women. They're like, can you ask somebody else? But they don't. So we need to get the Masorah back in their hands, because I just used that one little example of control at the dining room table and giving your husband the control. That's direct chazal. This is like, your husband needs control. That's what he needs to survive. And we've been told women need it, and we don't really. And we're grabbing away from our husbands, and we're paying the consequences. So until you know the Masorah cold, don't even consider separating from your husband. It's like knowing it. Yes. Is it hard? Yeah, there's some things it's like annoying. You got to learn a little bit new habits. You have to do a little bit things. But here's the guarantee from our Masorah. When you begin to focus on Shalom Bayis and making it a priority in your life, or how about the priority in your life, it is guaranteed the Shekhinah will come pouring into your home. And all of the troubles that you have in your life currently, Hashem will help you with. That's a guarantee from Hashem himself. So I give you a bracha. I understand you're having all these bickering things. Let go. Your homework is to just say, well, you're fighting about this, and just say, okay, whatever you want. Let's do it your way. I defer to you, my dear husband. Try it one time. You will see there's a shift in the relationship when the woman is she's going to get everything she wants anyhow. I mean, Meretz Hashem, I'm not saying life is going to be perfect, but I'm saying when you are willing to mevater, there will always be bracha coming from it. Okay.
We had time for one more question. You could see if you want to answer.
Okay.
Okay. Yafa says, I often used to tell my husband I should be divorcing him. Then I found your book. I have such deep regrets about saying it, but no matter what I do or say, my husband tells me he's deeply paranoid. I'll leave him. What can I do?
Oh, good for you. You really came a long way. I'm so, so happy. Um, mm, I think get him where it counts and make him dinner and make him his favorite, everything favorite, every meat he likes, every side dish he likes, every dessert he likes, a private dinner between the two of you. Make him his nice dinner and write him a beautiful, beautiful card that says it, and then that says what says this, and then you actually also audio say it. So he's got a permanent reminder of it, and he also has you saying it. And what you say to him is, listen, everyone makes mistakes in their life. And probably the biggest mistake I ever made in my life is giving you fear that I was going to walk away. I regret it more than anything I've ever done in my, I mean, it has to be true, but it probably is true. You're threatening the greatest thing Hashem gave you, the biggest gift in the whole world, even though he's got his foibles and his problems and he doesn't do this right and doesn't whatever. This is who Hashem gave you this gift, you know? So you say, the biggest regret I have in my life is making you have any doubts about my commitment to you and the fact that you can't trust me or you can't feel that I'm loyal to you. This is the biggest regret of my life. I don't know how to turn the tide. All I know is what I have in my heart, which is that I don't want to ever leave you. I want to be buried with you. I want to be with you in eternity, you know. And please, please forgive me. Please forgive me, and not only forgive me for saying it, but try and forget it. Like let's get it out. Let's get it. Not have that be part of our relationship. Let this dinner that I made you and this tiramisu, is that the right thing? And this ice cream, mint chocolate chip ice cream, that would go over very well. Parv, after giving him steaks, let this be the turning point where you finally got in your deep, deep in your heart that I'm here and I'm committed in this relationship and I'm not going anywhere. Like that. Okay. All right. So everybody watch now. I'm going to I'm going to explain a little bit about the divorce, how people feel about divorce. So watch this next second segment that talks about the 4 things you can do to help people when you see that there's an issue about divorce. Like we're always asking that question, what could I do? This shows you what you could do. You know that feeling you get when you hear about a divorce in the community? You're like, the first thing is you just are in complete shock. And then the second thing is you have this wave of sadness that comes over you. Like, did that, like, this is just the saddest thing. And then the third feeling is this sickening feeling that what if there was something I could have done? Where was I? What could we do? What could we have done? Now there's something you can do. My name is Leah Richheimer, and I'm here to familiarize you with our Shalom Bayis School. I think you're going to be very, very amazed what you actually can do in our community, in your community, in our nation to help with Shalom Bayis, the crisis that's going on right now in Shalom Bayis, and to stop the divorce and to make good marriages great and great marriages awesome. So that's what our whole mission is. I'll tell you a little bit about that, but I just want to first start with just one thing for you to recognize. This is like this wake-up call, which is the fact that if you go to your local market and you see the first woman and you say, excuse me, ma'am, what's our Masorah for Shabbos? She'll say, oh, you need challah and cholent and candles, and she'll talk your ear off for 2 hours. And then you ask her, oh, what's our Masorah for kashrus? And she'll say, oh, you need milk and meat and not this hechsher and yes, this hechsher. 2 hours, she'll talk your ears off about it. Then you ask her, what's our Masorah for Shalom Bayis? And she'll be like, and she won't know the answer. The single most important thing for her happiness, for her husband's happiness, for their olam haba, okay? She will not know the answer to our Shalom Bayis Masorah. What's our Shalom Bayis Masorah? Do you know what our Masorah is? So here, it's scary. I'm sorry I had to say it so whatever, but everyone's like, oh, no, Leah. So the issue that I'm saying, we have a mission. My husband and I started a 501c3 charity when we strengthen marriages, we strengthen the world. And what we're trying to do is get the Masorah back into the hands of Klal Yisrael. Where did our Masorah go? Where is it? So we're trying to give it back into the hands. And I'm going to show you exactly how we do that and how we've successfully done that. But the most important thing I want you to know is that we are trying to take an equality-based marriage, right? Equality-based marriage. This is the last 50, 60, 70 years. Everyone's been driven for an equality marriage. Big fail, okay? We're trying to shift the Klal Yisrael from an equality-based marriage to a Torah-based marriage. And a Torah-based marriage has a 3,000-year-old bulletproof track record of success. It works. So that's the whole mission that we're doing. And I'm asking you to join us in this. And I'm going to tell you the 4 things we do to make that happen. But I'm going to first tell you about my background. I've written 7 books on relationships or whatever. Let me think. I'm a full-time volunteer. That's really important for me to know, for you to know. So my whole mission, in fact, it costs me money. We run the school and we pay money to train the people. They pay tuition, but it costs a lot more, and we pay for. So we're fully dedicated to getting the Masorah back into Klal Yisrael's hands. Let me make sure. I should just say also that Rav Shmuel Kamenetsky, Rosh Hashiva from Philly, is fully supportive of what we're doing, and his wife, Rebbetzin Tema Kamenetsky, and Alav Shalom was my very, very close advisor. I miss her terribly, but she walked me through and said, she guided me every step of the way. And now Rav Shalom Kamenetsky and his wife Miriam Kamenetsky also are our advisors, and Rabbi Gershon Bess from Los Angeles, the great man that he is our the head of our board. So we have a lot of support for good reason. I'll tell you the 4 things that we do. If I were to ask you, what would you do? Yeah, that's right, Leah. It's true. We do have, our Masorah does need to be spread. We do need to do this. What would you do? So we have 4 methods that we do. The first thing we do is we have get as many books, Marriage Secrets, this Art Scroll book, I don't make any money on this. All of my royalties are donated to help with Shalom Bayis education. This book, I have a new book that came out called 21 Days to an Awesome Marriage. This was a proof copy. That's why it looks so funny. But anyway, 21 Days to an Awesome Marriage that is just coming out. Again, it's kind of like a workbook. So number 1, get books out there. Number 2, we have the Ladies Talk Show. Okay, so get as many people. And I'll show you how we've been very successful with it. And then these are some of my histamas or whatever. I have a bunch more, but anyway, just so you feel like I'm not. I've got people who reviewed and looked at what I'm doing and say, yeah, okay, go, but with the ladies. So the first thing was books. And then the second thing was the Ladies Talk Show. The Ladies Talk Show, basically some people, unfortunately, they're not reading anymore, whatever. So we made this whole show. I've got 300 shows on Torah Anytime, all about different aspects, mother-in-law problems, issues with, a husband off the derech, issue with, whatever it is. And remember, we're trying to make good marriages great. It's not just stopping divorce, which is our number 1 thing, but it's also making every marriage. Hashem taught us these secrets of how to have a great marriage, and so making use of them so everybody can have an aliyah and shalom bayis. So for Ladies Talk Show, we have 6 million views on it. In Torah Anytime views is 445, almost a half a million on Torah Anytime. YouTube is 44,000 a month, and iTunes is 64,000. Spotify is 11,000. These are crazy numbers. YouTube views is 220,000. I don't know. They put this together for me. I give lectures all over about 2,500 people. I sort of made that up. I know it's probably a lot more that I've done in the last 3-5 years. And then the other thing we do is train coaches, and I'm going to explain that in a minute. And this is our statistics from Torah Anytime. We have 300 shows, and now I think it's 300 and more, but whatever. But anyway, and that's our for Torah Anytime. So that's the second thing we do. So first thing is books. Second thing is is the Ladies Talk Show, and then we've had every speaker you can imagine in the Jewish world, not every, but a lot of them we've had on the show interacting about shalom bayis. The third thing we do is we have a coaching school, and that's the most important thing that I want to talk to you about today is the coaching school, because I want you to look around, either you or in your community, somebody who you can say, oh, I'm going to train these 5 people, pay the tuition for them, or have them pay the tuition. It doesn't really matter, but the is very low. Listen, it's a PhD in the Shalom Bayis Masorah. Literally, it's a 6-month course. It's intense. It's 6 hours a week. It's hard. It's whatever. They have to pass a written exam and an oral exam, and we have supervisors. It's the most intense program with a ton of support underneath. This is kind of the schedule. Oh, this is it. Isn't that a pretty logo? The Marriage Secrets Coaching School. We have that's the certification they get. This is the schedule. This is the requirements. They have to take entrance exam, a written and oral. They have to 6 hours a week. They have with me live, 2 hours with me live, 2 hours with a supervisor, 2 hours with self-study. Very, very intense program. So that is, and we have these bookmarks that we get, I'm showing my face. These bookmarks that say become a coach, and we're trying to get as many people trained. We want 1,000 coaches. I've now trained 59, but that's a start. Anyway, we want 1,000 around the planet. We have. Oh, I'll show you where we have everybody. This is the Marriage Secrets. Well, this is So the third thing is the coaching school. The fourth thing is the Marriage Secret Hotline. So on the back of this bookmark, it says try a coach. So this is to become a coach. I want you to send me at least one person, 5 people, 10 people, to train them on how to be on the Shalom Bayis Masorah. Very intense program. Or if you have somebody who comes to you, why should you stay up till 3 a.m. helping this one, that one, whatever, and hoping you're doing it right? We know how to do it right. We'll train you. So try a coach or become a coach. And these are all our coaches. We have in U.S., we have Buenos Aires, we have Vilna, we have Gateshead, London, Israel, 22 in Israel, and Denver, New York, New Jersey, Chicago, South Africa, 3 in South Africa. So, I mean, we are, this is a start, okay? And we want this whole map to be just covered with people who are training. So those are the 4 things we're doing. Number 1, getting as many books as out. Number 2, get Ladies Talk Show, having as many people watch these things as possible. That's a lot how people are learning these days. Number 3 is we have a school, the Marriage Secrets Coaching School, to train people in Shalom Bayis Masorah. And then the 4th thing we have is anyone who needs somebody. It's less expensive than counseling, right? So it's a good resource for people, and you can have it. And all you need to do is if you want any of this material or whatever, you can either go to ladiestalkshow.com. Wait, let me point. That's the ladiestalkshow.com, or you can go write us at info@ladiestalkshow.com, info@ladiestalkshow.com, and we'll send you stuff, and you can ask us questions and whatever, and we can really, hopefully, I'm hoping you'll partner with us, and that you will help us to get coaches, and to people who in your community that need help, we'll send to our coaches, and together we can make a Mirat Hashem, an aliyah in every Jewish family in Klal Yisrael. Thank you for listening. This is Leah Richheimer, and I hope you'll be in touch with us and help us with this very, very important mission for bringing the Geula. Okay, this is Leah Richheimer. We'll see you next time.